He trained to fly fighter jets, not throw 100 miles per hour fastballs. But somehow, Paul Skenes went from Air Force Cadet to MLB's most talked about pitcher. How does a guy learning to serve his country easily strike out pros? His journey is anything but normal. It mixes big dreams, bold choices, and one powerful arm. From military drills to MLB deals, this story feels like a movie. So how did it all happen? Stick around because this twist is worth watching. Before Paul Skenes was striking out MLB legends with 100-mile-per-hour fastballs, he was squeezing into an undersized bed at the Air Force Academy, feet dangling off the end, running on 5 hours of sleep and protein bars. His mornings started at 5 a.m. with military drills. His afternoons were jammed with classes on strategy, chemistry, and leadership. Somewhere in between, he barely made time to play baseball. But even in that chaos, Skenes wasn't just surviving. He was quietly becoming one of the most dominant college athletes in the country. This story isn't about a kid who always dreamed of MLB fame. It's about someone prepared to walk away from it all to serve his country. Paul's plan was never to chase a career on the mound. His goal was to fly fighter jets. With 3 uncles in the military, his heart was with service. So when he chose the Air Force over powerhouse baseball schools, it wasn't a fallback. It was the dream. Still, something crazy happened. Even with the distractions of military life, he didn't just perform, he succeeded. As a freshman at the Air Force, Paul played both ways. At the plate, he was smashing home runs. On the mound, he was throwing gas. His fastball was already flirting with triple digits. By his sophomore year, his name was showing up in national headlines. He won awards, racked up strikeouts, and was stuck. Because if he stayed in the Air Force one more year, the 5-year service commitment would have kicked in. Baseball would have been over. That's when Paul hit a wall. Should he stay and honor the commitment or leave and chase a future in baseball? It wasn't a decision he made lightly. Eventually, he transferred to LSU, one of the best baseball schools in the nation. And that's where everything changed. The military grind was gone at LSU, but the baseball pressure was real. This wasn't a break, it was a new battlefield. The coaches there weren't interested in his bat anymore. They saw him as a pitcher, full-time. They threw advanced training at him, spin rate data, pitch sequencing, and mechanics work. And Paul soaked it all in. He started throwing sliders and curveballs that fooled the best hitters in college baseball. He wasn't just a hard thrower anymore. He became a real pitcher. His stats went off the charts. He broke SEC records, led LSU to a national title.
Yeah, hey, Sharice, and we are live with Paul Skenes, who just happens to be the best pitcher in America. Paul came to LSU for this season from Air Force to be part of stuff like this. Look, from a fan standpoint, how has this maybe been bigger than you thought it would? Did you expect the support to be like it was? Not just the baseball, but just the atmosphere at this ballpark.
Yeah, to be honest, I don't know what I expected, but it definitely wasn't what we got. It was better in pretty much every way imaginable for me and for a lot of other guys, I think.
And became the #1 overall pick in the MLB draft. The Pittsburgh Pirates saw what everyone else did. This guy wasn't just good, he was the real deal. And just months after signing a record-breaking bonus, he found himself in AAA, throwing 100 miles per hour fastballs like it was routine. But even then, there was frustration. The Pirates were so protective of his arm that they kept pulling him after just 3 innings. Paul had gone from throwing 120 pitches at LSU to barely touching 40 in the minors. He knew he was ready, but would they let him prove it? It didn't take long for the answer to show up. Just 9 months after he was drafted, the Pirates called him up. May 11th, 2024. That was the day Paul Skenes made his MLB debut, and it felt like the entire baseball world was watching. The stadium buzzed with—
Here's the pitch, and it hit him with that splitter, or splinker as he likes to call it. So Nico Horner hit by pitch. He's on with 1 out here in the second.
Michael Bush the batter. Nico's a base stealing threat always.
Down and in. Darting fastball near the shoe tops. And that's a second walk issued by Skenes.
Energy. Every radar gun was ready, and when he took the mound, you could almost feel the pressure on his shoulders. His first few pitches, over 100 miles per hour, easy. He struck out his first batter and sent a clear message. He belonged here, but it wasn't a perfect game. He gave up some runs in those early innings, and the doubters started chirping. The spotlight may be too bright. Maybe he was too young, but Paul didn't flinch. 6 days later, on May 17th, he returned to the mound and delivered something unforgettable. He struck out the first 7 batters of the game. It's not just a good start, it's an unreal one. And then, in the next game, he almost did it again. Another 6 innings, barely any hits, barely any runs. Then came another start and another. Same story. Hitters were lost. They couldn't keep up. In his first 8 starts, Paul had an ERA just above 2.0. That's elite. He struck out 61 batters in under 50 innings. The fastball averaged 99.3 miles per hour, faster than almost anyone in the league. But it wasn't just speed. Paul started throwing something nobody had seen before. A new pitch that he hadn't even planned on creating. They called it the splinter. It's a mix between a splitter and a sinker. It dropped fast, moved hard, and confused everyone. Hitters couldn't figure it out. Paul threw it more than 600 times in his rookie season, and it worked. Batters hit below .190 against it. Some looked like they didn't even know where the ball had gone. Before the season even hit the halfway point, Paul had done enough to earn a spot in the All-Star game. But he didn't just make the team. He started the game for the National League. That hadn't happened in 30 years for any rookie. And now, here was this 22-year-old from California who used to sleep with his feet in a sink, standing on the biggest stage in baseball. He finished the year with 11 wins and just 3 losses. His ERA, a jaw-dropping 1.96. He struck out 170 batters in just 133 innings. Records were falling. People were comparing him to legends. Some said he was the best rookie pitcher since Steven Strasburg. Others said he might be even better. But even with all that hype, Paul stayed focused. He didn't get lost in the noise. He knew the game moves fast, and staying healthy matters even more than throwing hard. His arm had taken a lot, and the risk of injury was real. Everyone had seen great pitchers fall. DeGrom, Strasburg, Syndergaard. Paul didn't want to be next, but Paul wasn't just thinking about his career. He was changing how people looked at young pitchers. He wasn't trying to be flashy. He wasn't chasing the spotlight. He was chasing results. Game after game, he showed up and did the job. No drama, no excuses, just work. Some fans online started calling him overrated. Maybe they didn't like the attention he was getting. Maybe they were just tired of hearing his name. But while they posted tweets, Paul kept throwing fire on the mound. Even big names in baseball were backing him. Legends, scouts, and analysts said the same thing. This guy's the real deal. The Pirates knew what they had. For the first time in years, they had a real ace, a pitcher who didn't just start games, but gave them a chance to win every time he stepped out. With Paul on the team, they weren't just rebuilding, they were suddenly a threat. What made it even crazier was how fast it all happened, from Air Force Cadet to MLB All-Star in under 2 years.
Okay, good, but I have to ask you, what's your favorite thing about Mr. Paul Skenes? His mustache and Livy Dunn.
I love how this kid at the Pittsburgh Pirates game said that his favorite thing about Paul Skenes is his mustache and Livy Dunn, the American gymnast. All right? You gotta love that, my friends, okay? This kid is balling at a very young age.
That doesn't happen. Most players spend years in the minors. Most pitchers take time to adjust, but Paul didn't wait around. He forced the league to take him seriously from day one. His presence brought energy back to the Pirates. Fans started showing up early to watch him warm up. Young kids came wearing fake mustaches. Adults talked about him like he was a veteran, not a rookie. He became the face of the team without even trying. But while everyone was celebrating his fast rise, there was still one big question on everyone's mind.